We are in the River City tonight for a colossal six-pointer around the playoff line. It's a resurgent Richmond squad looking to potentially lock up a return to the postseason, but they have a Chattanooga side in town desperate for points themselves. You are watching USL League One, presented by U-Crops. We say hello and welcome here from City Stadium. I'm Sam Goldfarb. It was a pair of sides on opposite ends of late drama last week, starting with Richmond, a side that rescued a point from the depths of a 2-0 deficit at Tormenta last weekend. Back-to-back corner kicks in the first half, seeing them behind 2-0 just beyond the 35-minute threshold. But then Emiliano Terzaghi pulled one back in the 66th minute, and then at the death, Simon Fitch providing late heroics to rescue a point, and as of now, keep Richmond in the top 8. The biggest goal of the season for the Kickers. On the other side for Chattanooga, it was late heartbreak. A side that went to Madison last Saturday night, and in a match that was cagey, Aiden Macias opened the scoring in the 52nd minute. But Chattanooga wasn't done, responding in the 66th. Ropapa Mensah, terrific acrobatic header, his third goal in the last 4 matches to pull the Red Wolves level. But then in stoppage time, a costly challenge from Michael Knapp set Christian Cheney up from 12 yards, and in the 92nd minute, providing a 2-1 victory to Madison to push Chattanooga well beyond the top 8. Let's take a look at the League One standings if the season were to end today, presented by Terminix. Right now, Richmond maintaining the 8th and final playoff spot. This is the only playoff spot up for grabs at this current moment. Chattanooga is 3 points behind them, so a Richmond win and Tormenta dropping points sees them clinch. Chattanooga effectively needs to win tonight to breach the top 8. Well, speaking of Richmond, it's time for our player to watch, presented by Bon Secours, and who else but last week's hero. Simon Fitch, a goal and an assist to his name. He's known as one of the more dynamic fullbacks in USL League One. Darren Sawatsky says he's ready for the next level. They'll be counting on him to get a result tonight. And speaking of players that Chattanooga will count on, how about Ropapa Mensah, their leading scorer? We mentioned 3 goals in his last 4. He's been the talisman for an attack that really has gone through its ebbs and flows this season. But when he leads the line, they are ever so dangerous. He will lead the line tonight. He is our player to watch for Chattanooga. We are just about set for kickoff in this huge clash in the River City tonight. Will Richmond lock up the playoffs, or will Chattanooga make it interesting ahead of the final match day? Stick with us on ESPN+.
How much is the Branzino?
It's market price.
CarMax has upfront pricing on cars. You can't tell me how much a fish costs?
Ma'am. Ma'am, you can't use our bathtubs.
CarMax has test drives. You can't have test baths?
How did you even get water in there?
I don't know. You tell me.
I hate this job.
Experience CarMax, and you'll never settle for anything less.
So we've decided to sell the house.
Oh, yeah? Who's your realtor?
Well,
Over here, guys! Over here! Only $10!
Where do I find comps? What is encumbrance? How do I escrow?
Here's what I found for Scarecrow.
actually, I've been meaning to ask who you and Paul worked with.
Welcome to Royal New Kent Golf Club. Designed by world-renowned architect Mike Strantz, Royal New Kent's a one-of-a-kind Irish-style golf course located 20 minutes east of Richmond, Virginia. Royal New Kent was featured in Golf Week's top 100 public courses in the country. Hidden behind grassy knolls and hand-stacked rock walls, each hole offers several playing options to fit a wide range of abilities. Visit royalnewkent.com or follow us on social media for more information on tee times and rates. Remember, come to Royal New Kent Golf Club to Golf Ireland in Virginia.
We would not have a business today if it weren't for the support of the many, many people within the Richmond community. To me, we're working as a team to enhance the quality of life for all residents.
It's about being the best that you can be. It's about enriching the lives of people in your community. There's a reason why we have the tagline Nourish, because it's really about nourishing the lives of the people that work for us and the people that we serve. That's what the U-Crops brand stands for.
We welcome you back here on ESPN Plus. It's now time for our starting 11 presented by Bon Secours. For Darren Sawatsky's squad, 2 changes from the 2-2 draw last Friday night against Tormenta. The notable return, Emiliano Terzaghi, was in a super sub role. He's back up front. Meanwhile, Neil Vinyals on the bench tonight as James Sneddon makes his 5th consecutive start between the sticks. On the other side for Chattanooga, they've also altered their formation a bit, but only one change in terms of personnel. The lineup also presented by Bon Secours. Siobhan Marsh on the bench tonight after missing last week with a personal situation. It is Ropapa Mensah, Mayo Malongo, and Omar Hernandez on the front 3. Keep your eye on Big Papa, number 20. He is the league's 3rd leading goal scorer. Well, we are just about set for kickoff here at City Stadium. It is a Chattanooga side that has not won in its last 10 in all competitions, but still remains in the playoff chase. A Richmond side that spent so much of the year languishing below the top 8, but now finds itself in a prime position to achieve its first postseason berth since 2022. Will be Chattanooga in the white with black numbers, Richmond in the red with white numbers. Coutinho will get us underway. A major clash here in Richmond tonight. Question is, who can capitalize in the highest pressure of environments? Thank you for joining us. Sam Goldfarb here, bringing you all of the action tonight. It's a Richmond squad that has revitalized its season. 5 unbeaten in all competitions entering today, and we already have touched on the late heroics of last weekend. Question is, in a scenario against a Chattanooga side that has had its number in high-pressure environments, does it buck the trend? Here's Schenfeld. The elder statesman turned 32 yesterday. Talking to Darren Sawatsky, he's mentioned how it's been a playoff environment for his side these last few weeks. He viewed all of these regular season matches as a playoff game. They gave themselves very little margin for error, and they have dropped very few points in the last month of action. He says tonight is no different. We are not putting added pressure on it. We are just focused on winning and trying to lock up a playoff berth. It's really quite that simple. For Scott McKenzie's side, he was blunt with us this week. He said, it has not been a good season. There is no way around that, but we still find ourselves with a chance. And now we have to go in here and take advantage of a side we've already beaten twice this year. Sets the stage for a fixture that has carried so much intrigue throughout the last couple seasons in this league. This is won back by Schenfeld. And here's Terzaghi. Schenfeld's cross, and it is claimed by the league's leading save man, TJ Bush. We've mentioned the struggles for Chattanooga. Side that has really had issues at the back, the 2nd most goals allowed in the league. And Scott McKenzie has said they will be more pragmatic. They've sat deeper a lot over the course of this last month. And they'll pick their spots more on the break, as there is a man down for Chattanooga in the center of the park. And some early action for our head official tonight. Kirkland making his first start, the USL League Two development story. Second touch won't quite come off for him. Well, it's a packed crowd tonight. City Stadium, one of the premier venues in USL League One and one of the top fan bases in this league as well. You see the River City Red Army in the far corner there, occupying that element of the stands as they have done all year long. The drums in full force. This is a vocal support base. It is one that is not shy about making their opinions felt to the administration. And it is one that has been much more pleased with the product they've seen on the pitch these last few weeks. It's been a season of frustration for large spells. But this last month has been a sign of considerable promise and hope for a squad that frankly could not put the ball in the back of the net. There's Darren Sawatsky leading things. He will look to lead Richmond to success tonight. The big key presented by CarMax throwing the first punch. It's a Richmond side that has not won a match after conceding first all year in league play. Darren Sawatsky's emphasized taking chances. That's been the biggest thing that's held them back. They can throw the first punch and find the back of the net early. They will put themselves in a favorable position as they force Chattanooga to come out of its shell a bit more. Coutinho is forced off it by Moran. On the other side, there's Scott McKenzie. As the flag is raised against Sierakowski, his big key to the match presented by CarMax, a 5-star counterattack. It's a Chattanooga side that thrives in the open field. It does not necessarily need a lot of the ball to trouble you on the break. And with the likes of Mael Malongo and Ropapa Mensah on the front line tonight, those two specialize in taking their chances on the counter. So that is your look at the CarMax keys to the match. Here's Malongo towards the byline. It's a low cross that is stabbed away out of trouble for a Chattanooga throw. Here's one of the more dynamic wingers in this league in Mael Malongo. You'd figure if Chattanooga is to get some sort of result tonight, he will have a role to play. Well, so much of this recent run for Richmond has coincided with that man between the sticks, the 18-year-old James Sneddon, who makes his 5th consecutive start and has drawn rave reviews from the support base. There he is, number 35, so young, a product of Richmond United and the Richmond Kickers Academy system. He didn't make his professional debut until the Jägermeister Cup finale on August 29th. And the job he has done, 3 consecutive clean sheets to begin his tenure in league play. It's been very eye-popping, especially for a Richmond side that struggled to find answers between the sticks all year. An opportunity came to him with Ryan Shello's unfortunate injury last month, and he has made the most of it, to the point where there are calls for him to start the remainder of the fixtures. His counterpart is a far more established commodity. We've mentioned TJ Bush, who's 26 years of age and already has a league title under his belt. League's leader in saves, has been peppered and in many respects has kept Chattanooga in a lot of matches perhaps they should not have been in. He is the last man you would blame for the sheer quantity of goals allowed, which has hit 43 now this season. And there he is, over 90 saves to his name. And has been the no doubt top choice over the experienced Tim Trilk. Outside of a couple Jägermeister Cup appearances, he's been a mainstay between the sticks all year. Schenfeldt. Ball towards the back stick, was looking for Kirkland, and it's cleared only as far as last week's hero, Simon Fitch. Moran. Barnathan's ball is beyond the reach of Kirkland. Well, there is Darren Sawatsky, his 5th season at the helm of the Richmond Kickers. He has battled injuries all year, but you look at the Bon Secours injury report tonight, and it's not too dramatic. There are 2 key absences, Joao Gamiro and, of course, Adrian Billhart, who fueled this attack early on in the season, both out with lower leg injuries. But he says this is the first time he's had close to a full complement of players available this year. So it's been a welcome sight. It's coincided with this recent quality run of form. Now the question is, can they turn it into a result in perhaps their highest pressure stakes this year? As you get another look at the Greenswell Growers replay, Kirkland was clattered to the deck by Jameel Roberts. Barnathan. It's a ball that is charged out of danger towards Mensah. One back by O'Dwyer. Now Mensah blasting it from afar. Well, it was worth a shot with Sneddon off his line, but audacious is the apt word to describe that effort. Ten minutes gone here from Richmond. A 61-degree evening at the time of kickoff. Fall weather beginning to set in on the southeast. There's Barnathan, and Richmond will have their first corner of the night. A rare appearance with Barnathan donning the captain's armband. Surprisingly not their talisman, Emiliano Terzaghi. It will be Sierakowski to take this set piece. A journeyman in USL League One, his 4th different League One club already. Within swing, toward the back post. It's punched away by Bush. And we won't run it back from the opposite flag. It's just a throw. A little too tight on Bush in the end. It was unclear whether maybe Sierakowski had Olympico on his mind. Relatively nonchalant save from Bush. Throw right in front of the Red Army. Flashing ball in. Was an awkward clearance from Declan Waters and does go out for another Richmond corner. Unsurprisingly, kickers pressing the issue. Darren Sawatsky seemed intent on chasing the 3 points tonight. It's been reflected on their early shifts forward so far. It'll be Maxi Schenfeld standing over this. Taken short to Terzaghi. Schenfeld's ball in, back post. TJ Bush is a man under fire here in the early stages. Lukic may have been dealt the after effects of that. You get another look at the replay. Not a bad ball in. Forced the intervention of Bush. Again, he's been all over it though. One of the better keepers in this league. Not many mistakes in him. Sierakowski again. This time towards the near post. Falls for Kirkland. Schenfeld. Floating ball and routinely collected by Bush. Well, it's a fixture with plenty of history in it. Obviously, Richmond Kickers and Chattanooga, both founding members of this league. Chattanooga, oddly enough, a historical dominance over Richmond, 10-5-2 all-time, including a victory on this very ground in a similar high-pressure environment 2 years ago when they toppled Players' Shield-winning Richmond in the USL League One semifinals in 2022. Still a fixture that leaves a sour taste in a lot of Richmond fans' collective consciousness, so to speak. And during the week, there was considerable conversation amongst the fan base about exacting a measure of revenge from that defeat. Tonight presents an interesting scenario in which they can do so, because if they win, Chattanooga, as a byproduct of that defeat, will be officially eliminated from playoff contention. Here's Malongo. He catches up to this. It is stood up by Chela. And now falls for Coutinho. Malongo again. Omar Hernandez, the Mercer product. Roberts. Decent ball in. Falls routinely to Schenfeld in the end. Well, we're a quarter of an hour gone. And as things stand, it is shaping up to be a bit of a chess match. Chattanooga side that has put defense first tonight. They cannot afford to lose by any stretch of the imagination if they hope to potentially rally for a playoff berth. Although a win tonight would do far more than a draw in that respect. Coutinho. Lukic. Floating ahead. And still Stefan Lukic tries it himself, and what a finish that is! Lukic stunning Richmond. It's 1-0 Chattanooga. A first league goal of the season for Lukic, and what a time for it. First proper chance of the match. Chattanooga cashing in. What a moment for Stefan Lukic. This is just individual brilliance from a player with bags of talent. He cuts in on his right foot and curls it perfectly into the right side netting. A moment of individual brilliance. So much terrific technique on this. Has to get this perfect, and that he does. There's no chance for Sneddon, who's forced to pick it out the back of his own net. 1-0 Chattanooga, courtesy of Lukic. And a Chattanooga side that has spent the bulk of these opening 15 minutes out of possession, striking first. Sierakowski looking for the reply, and it will go out for a corner. And Lukic, a man who spent the last 2 seasons with the Northern Colorado Hailstorm, but was at one point considered a young prodigy in Europe, the Serbian native. Product of the Partizan Academy, played with the likes of Alexander Mitrovic and Dusan Vlahovic. Popping up with the biggest goal of Chattanooga's season to date. Sierakowski within swing. Still loose. It falls. Audacious hit from Schenfeld. Not much more than that. Lukic, a player who didn't quite have it pan out in Europe. He did nearly secure a move to Everton in his youth days, but then moved to the States and played in NAIA with Oklahoma Wesleyan, and he credits his time there as what helped him rediscover his love for football. Since coming out of college, has been a mainstay in the USL League One ranks. someone who's always had the quality to excel in this league. Flashing his brilliance there. Barnathan tries it himself, and it just knuckles beyond the reach of everyone. Well, the first domino has fallen tonight, and it puts Chattanooga in a very favorable position because if they win, they'll be level on points with Richmond for the final playoff spot. Now, there are questions about results elsewhere. Of course, Tormenta, the third team in contention for this mix, goes to Omaha tonight, and I don't think Omaha will be taking it remotely easy on their visitors, given that a win tonight clinches them the Player Shield. It is a very favorable scenario so far for the visitors. Now, no doubt, can play a bit more within themselves. Here's the goal scorer, Lukic. Pinging it ahead towards Mensah, who wins it back off Garnett. It's Mensah, narrowly whistling it wide. A golden opportunity for 2-0 goes begging for Chattanooga's top scorer. This is a huge chance, one that Mensah undoubtedly wants back. In stellar form, threw on goal. He had Sneddon beaten and just couldn't pick out the spot. What a break that is for Richmond. They could have found themselves 2 in the hole for the second straight match. Schenfeld. It's become a corner fest so far for Richmond, and Sierakowski is getting target practice on this near side. We'll see if he can start to locate some men in red. Takes this short this time. Terzaghi crosses it. It's nearly flicked along, still loose. Bush doing enough to prevent it from going out of play. It was unnecessarily nervy, but no harm, no foul in the end. We are rapidly approaching the midway point of this first half. It's Stefan Lukic's 17th minute stellar strike, which currently separates the two sides. Although moments ago, Mensah, an opportunity to double the lead that went begging. But Chattanooga, despite spending the bulk of the night out of possession, has procured the match's 2 best chances by far. And Scott McKenzie said, even though his side isn't known for its possessional supremacy, it is a squad that was going to put defense first entering tonight. They have done that, and they've reaped the rewards on the counter so far. Sierakowski, this is Terzaghi. Twisting and turning. No real issues for Walefi to clear his lines. But it is not an ideal scenario for a Richmond squad that throughout the season the story has been an inability to take chances consistently. They are the joint lowest goal scorers in USL League One entering this week, even despite a recent uptick in goal scoring production. Breaking down a team that will play in a low block presumably for the majority of this final 68 minutes and change is not a recipe for success for the hosts. Though you'd figure they would be due for a long-range banger or two given how the season's shaken out. Malongo, he shrugs Barnathan off this. And still Mael Malongo. Coutinho. into the area. He goes down. The referee's unmoved. Terzaghi has a date with the deck. Well, there is the league's all-time top goal scorer, Emiliano Terzaghi. One of many players who's a Richmond success story in terms of lads that have revitalized their professional careers. Darren Sawatsky touts it as a true virtue of this club. He's built an environment where players who perhaps have been disaffected by previous destinations or struggled can find their football again. And Terzaghi's the prime example. Someone who came from Argentina, has come to the States and excelled. Clever run from Kirkland. He does win another corner for Richmond. It's a club known for its youth development and also known for a platform for players to revitalize their careers. And Kirkland is in the former category. 23 years old, played D3 at University of Mary Washington. Just his first professional start tonight. Schenfeld within swing. Garnett, he lashed at it. Couldn't keep it down though. His story's very interesting for Richmond's as well. 17 years of age, an academy product who has worked his way into the 11 this year. Fans, in the aftermath of both Hurricanes Helene and Milton, the USL has partnered with United Way Suncoast to help the Tampa Bay area recover from the devastation the storm left behind. To learn how you can get involved, scan the QR code or visit www.uslsoccer.com/Milton to ensure individuals and families have the access to resources they need to recover. We, of course, send our thoughts to any fans watching tonight that have been affected by both devastating storms. Best wishes to the recovery process. We are beyond the 25-minute threshold here. It is Stefan Lukic's 17th minute wonder strike, which makes the difference between these two sides. Game in which Richmond's had the upper hand possessionally, but on the score sheet, Chattanooga producing the two best chances. They've got a goal to show for it as well. Now remember, it's not a stat Kickers fans will want to hear. This is a Richmond side that has not won a single league match from a losing position this season. They're 0-9-3 in league play when the other team scores first. It's now the 13th time an opposing squad has broken the deadlock on them. They have battled back for draws, as is evidenced last week, which was their most Herculean comeback of the year. It was a draw that many Richmond fans rightfully touted as a victory, but here tonight, there are no moral victories. There is just a win, and Darren Sawatsky knows that. Said tonight, despite the past two performances against Chattanooga, both defeats earlier in the year, there is optimism about this fixture. Two clubs that both are known for their ability to punch above their weight and excel beyond their budgets. So far, the opening 30 minutes has shaken out much like the first two fixtures did. The new signing, Clyde Icella, spent the first half of the year in Kosovo's top flight. Signed in mid-August and has worked his way into a crucial pawn in this back four. Blast this one ahead. He picks out Sierakowski with expertise. Here is Ryan Sierakowski. Got his boot around it, but not enough whip to put it on target. Well, there is promise here from Richmond. For one, absolutely pitch-perfect delivery from Cella. You see Sierakowski cut in on the favored right. Just not enough bend to it. Fans, check out all the exciting postseason action starting in November as the USL playoffs presented by Terminix showcase the top teams battling it out for the ultimate prize. Go to USLLeague1.com for all of the latest playoff information. We are rapidly approaching the half-hour mark. As things stand, Chattanooga may have just provided the inside road on a potential USL playoff berth. Richmond entered the night with the advantage, but they've squandered it this evening so far in the penultimate match day of USL League One play. For Richmond, it gets tougher. They host Charlotte, albeit a struggling Charlotte side of late, next week in the USL League One's final day of the regular season. It's a home match for Chattanooga against Lexington, which I'm sure they'll feel is very winnable, especially given Lexington's recent struggles. So if you're Richmond, losing this match seems to be a very unfavorable outcome, especially given the final fixtures for both clubs. Here is Jamil Roberts. Prior to this year was probably public enemy #1 in Chattanooga. Scored the USL League One final winner for Tormenta against Chattanooga in 2022. Of course, a final berth Chattanooga secured by beating this very Richmond side on this very ground 2 years ago. It's not a memory that Richmond fans want to relive tonight. Of course, that scoreline was 1-0, although the breakthrough came much later than tonight's did. Terzaghi. Here's Kirkland. Picking out Moran. O'Dwyer. Unable to thread it back through. Terzaghi went down in the box. The referee is unmoved by the appeals from the capacity crowd tonight at City Stadium. We've mentioned the support base. It is ardent. It is a crowd that shows up every week, and especially on a night like tonight, where all of them understand the stakes in the penultimate home match of the season. They have not disappointed. And I'm sure as this wears on, they will grow increasingly vocal, especially if it remains nip and tuck like it has been so far. Decent technique there from Darren Sawatsky. Of course, a decorated player himself before going into coaching. Schenfeld. And this is Sierakowski, growing in influence. Space for Schenfeld to cross, flicked along by Terzaghi, and narrowly whistling it wide of the far post. Well, that was very deft, and it nearly came off to perfection for Richmond. Terzaghi's known for his flair in front of the goal mouth. That was no different. It was a very tight angle. It would have been one of the more impressive finishes of the year. He's not a player known for his outside-the-box goals. He's more of a poacher in the area. That's how he's racked up the most goals in league history across his now 5 seasons in USL League One. Schenfeld standing over this set piece for Richmond, a team that has continued to twist the screws since conceding the opener about 15 minutes ago. But as things stand, Stefan Lukic, the only man to make a direct imprint on this. the best delivery by any means. Select, the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. How about that? Perfect shot of our Select match ball tonight. In pristine condition this evening. Well, we are just beyond the half-hour mark here from Richmond. A 1-0 advantage for Chattanooga Red Wolves over Richmond Kickers in a 6-pointer that could redefine how the top 8 looks by the end of the evening. Chattanooga entered tonight 3 points behind Richmond. As things stand, they've neutralized that gap in one fell swoop. A Stefan Lukic breakthrough in the 17th. It's a Richmond side that has continued to push forward since, but has lacked that golden opportunity just yet. Testament to the defense-minded approach from Scott McKenzie tonight. It's not a Chattanooga side historically known for that, but given the issues conceding goals in bunches, Scott McKenzie has opted to be more pragmatic ahead of this recent stretch. Terzaghi turns! It was not a bad effort at all, but Bush was all over it. Nearly identical to his breakthrough last week as well. Well, back to goal is where Terzaghi's at his best. It's this quick turn, just ushers it onto his left. Tried to go for the near post, and Bush saw it late, but managed to react in time. Terzaghi again. Brought down in the area. Referee blows the whistle and says the contact was outside the box. Well, this was awfully close. Take a look at the Greenswell Growers replay. It does appear the contact was initiated just outside the area by Pedro Hernandez. I believe the officials gotten this one right. I'm sure Terzaghi would have been hoping for a spot kick from 12, though. Sets up Sierakowski in a very awkward spot for this set piece as well. I wonder if there's any training ground trickery on the cards. It's driven to the back post, and it was a snapshot stop from Bush. You know, you can't necessarily say Sierakowski wasn't even trying for goal there. He might have been trying to pick out that far corner. Either way, another set piece as Hernandez was shown the yellow for the earlier challenge. Schenfeld's in swinger towards Garnett, and it's tapped in! O'Dwyer levels it! Richmond with life. And who else but Chandler O'Dwyer, a man in the midst of a breakout campaign himself. Richmond 1, Chattanooga 1. Well, this is a terrific delivery. Garnett gets his head to it, and it's a question of who taps it. It does look like O'Dwyer got the final touch, and Richmond with the elusive equalizer. It is O'Dwyer who drives it over the line. There's no chance for Bush, and just like that, Richmond level, deservedly so. Chandler O'Dwyer officially credited with the goal. His 9th in all competitions this year after bouncing in and out of the lineup last season, and has done it across the board as a forward, as a midfielder. So dangerous on set pieces, striking again with a prime forwards finish. The 25-year-old out of Lingfield, England, his 6th goal in league play, 9th in all comps. And now his 4th match with a goal contribution in the last 6. Well, that is just what the doctor ordered for Richmond. It was a question over whether they could conjure a legitimate opportunity against a surprisingly obdurate Chattanooga back line. But on a set piece, they have breached a vulnerable defense. Chattanooga with work to do if it hopes to secure 3 points in what seems to be a must-win scenario. It is Hernandez who will vacate this, and Lukic to deliver. Tonight's goal scorer. Cleared only as far as Jameel Roberts. Falls for Lukic! Not able to contact it cleanly. The Red Army giving him an earful as we speak. And he fouls the other goal scorer, Chandler O'Dwyer. Well, there is your look at the Englishman, product of Christian Brothers University. Someone who was the Gulf Coast Conference Offensive Player of the Year in the spring 2021 season. Someone who spent so much time in English non-league before moving to the States for college and has been in the USL Championship these last couple seasons since. His 3rd consecutive pro campaign with Richmond. Someone who has finally started to find the back of the net more consistently this year. And for a Richmond side that, as we mentioned, has gone through its issues finishing chances, O'Dwyer has been one of the more reliable products in front of goal this year. Here's Malango. It's read very well by Maxi Schenfeld. Well, we are 40 minutes gone. Richmond finding its equalizer in the form of Chandler O'Dwyer's 38th minute finish. Pegging Chattanooga back after Stefan Lukic opened the scoring. And it sets the table for a very intriguing second half, especially if this scoreline holds. Remember, a Richmond victory tonight eliminates Chattanooga, but also puts them in prime position to clinch a playoff berth if Tormenta is to drop points in any form against Omaha tonight. Of course, an Omaha side at home that is playing for the Players' Shield this evening, so there's no doubt they will play a full-strength squad this evening. Here's a terrific ball forward to Mensah. Goalkeeper off his line. A necessary intervention from Sneddon, and that may have just saved a goal. Terzaghi over the top for Sierakowski. To the byline, low cross. Just tapped away before it could reach O'Dwyer. Well, this is becoming an end-to-end barn burner. Mensah through. This is prime sweeper play from James Sneddon, the 18-year-old, who flashed his instincts well beyond his years there. And on the other end, nearly resulting in a Richmond 5-star counter. Fola in a bit of trouble. And he is fouled by Terzaghi. Well, if you're Chattanooga, you have to start chasing this more. A draw is not necessarily wholeheartedly unsatisfactory, although you'd still be 3 points behind Richmond, and if Tormenta was to win tonight, your hopes would be eradicated. So the ultimate goal tonight for Scott McKenzie's side is a victory, no ifs, ands, or buts. Of course, given the 10-match winless run they enter tonight on, that would require a significant turn of fortune this evening. we are on the stroke of halftime now. Question, is there one final twist before intermission? Final minute of the initial 45. Malongo to the byline, cuts it in, it's a good ball, falls for Mensah, and stabbed away. Excellent emergency defending. Now Roberts' effort. Falls for Pedro Hernandez. The only man to be booked tonight for either side. Walefi, a mainstay for Chattanooga since their inaugural season. And that is a loose challenge from Simon Fitch. As of now, he's gotten off without a booking. Hearing word it will be 3 minutes of added time that separate us from intermission. A barn burner of a first half. Chattanooga with at least one more set piece. It's a good looking delivery in. Cleared only as far as Malongo. By no means shabby, just was never dipping in time. Our first half stoppage time presented by Greenswell Growers. Well, there is Mael Malongo, someone who's significantly heightened his production in his second year in a Chattanooga kit. 6 goals in league play to his name, especially over the summer. Went on a spell where he was streaking in front of goal with a number of goals in quick succession. Has been through ups and downs since, only 1 goal in the last 13, but so dynamic in his individual talents with his pace and physicality is something a lot of players in this league would envy. He's begun to put it all together this year. Final 90 seconds of the initial 90 in this first half. Mensah on the turn. Kirkland with issues clearing. Well, you've got to figure he's happy with the way his side has battled back, Derek Sawatsky. But still seems to be a layer of agitation to deal with. They can't feel secure with anything less than a victory tonight. I'm sure he knows that, especially with Charlotte coming to town next week. Coaching like their season depends on it, and he said it in many respects does. They've been playing like every match is a playoff match for the last month. It has coincided with success. Time for one final foray forward for Richmond here before this first half comes to a close. Malongo. Lukic. And there is where we leave things. Well, an opening 45 minutes in which both teams had considerable chances. Stefan Lukic opening the scoring with his 17th minute strike, but pegged back in the 38th by Chandler O'Dwyer on a set piece. And after 45, nothing to separate these two sides. A Richmond team chasing it far more, but a Chattanooga side that has no doubt had its chances, and it sets the stage for a very interesting duel in the final 45 minutes. Well, that's where things come to a close at the end of 45 minutes. At halftime, presented by Simplicity VoIP, it is Richmond 1, Chattanooga 1. Both coaches with some positives, both with plenty to rectify in the second half. It sets the stage for a very interesting close to the fixture. We will step aside when we return, a look back at the opening 45 minutes.
Health. Suddenly that word seems more important these days, as it's consumed all aspects of our lives and made our universes feel smaller than ever. But at Bon Secours, your health has always been our top priority, and we're staying as committed as always to personalizing the right care for you. Because whether here or from home, we believe your health care should always revolve around you. Bon Secours, primary care for the universe of you. Visit bonsecours.com/primary care to connect with the provider today.
We would not have a business today if it weren't for the support of the many, many people within the Richmond community. To me, we're working as a team to enhance the quality of life for all residents.
It's about being the best that you can be. It's about enriching the lives of people in your community. There's a reason why we have the tagline Nourish, because it's really about nourishing the lives of the people that work for us and the people that we serve. That's what the UCROPS brand stands for.
Welcome to Royal New Kent Golf Club. Designed by world-renowned architect Mike Strantz, Royal New Kent's a one-of-a-kind Irish-style golf course located 20 minutes east of Richmond, Virginia. Royal New Kent was featured in Golf Week's top 100 public courses in the country. Hidden behind grassy knolls and hand-stacked rock walls, each hole offers several playing options to fit a wide range of abilities. Visit royalnewkent.com or follow us on social media for more information on tee times and rates. Remember, come to Royal New Kent Golf Club to Golf Ireland in Virginia.
Back here from Richmond, where at halftime, presented by Simplicity VoIP, Richmond and Chattanooga level at 1 apiece here from City Stadium. A lively first half that promises an incredible second. Well, looking around the league, there are a ton of standout goal scorers. Let's take a look at the Golden Boot race as you get your look at two Carolinas forwards. Liam McKinnon leading the way by 1 goal over J.C. Obregon Jr., although McKinnon playing a few more matches with Obregon on international duty on occasion with Honduras. But both these players leading their respective sides in front of goal. It sets the stage for kind of a really close race in the final 2 matches of this regular season. Liam McKinnon for Greenville has been nothing short of a revelation. It's just his second pro campaign, and he has improved his finishing by leaps and bounds this year. Someone who surged in front of Obregon last week with his brace against Spokane in the 3-2 victory on October 12th last Saturday. He's stepped it up, has played both wide and centrally, one of the more versatile players in this league for Greenville. For Charlotte, on the other end, someone who is a listed out-and-out center forward. Obregon joining after years in the USL Championship. He scores in virtually any way you can procure it. He's much better in the box, though, with his ability to pick out things with clinical finishing. But there's his lone outside the box goal this year. Not too shabby. Plenty of knuckle. No chance for TJ Bush on that. But in front of goal, his positioning, his runs is tremendous. He will look to reclaim control of the race this weekend. Well, there's your look at the Golden Boot race. The USL League One heading down the stretch here in 2024. When we return, a look at Week 23 in the league on ESPN+.
Is it somebody's birthday? Dad, come watch us hit this ugly piñata. Dad!
When Hornets show up, so do we. Terminix it.
New flavors. The same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador. Spiked Bebidas.
I kept it pushing and busting and moving and running and shaking and hustling. My competition be mad at themselves because they keep on falling down and struggling. They know I'm the man. I'm just showing out. I keep it real. Yeah, that's what I'm about.
When mosquitoes show up, so do we. Terminix it.
Yeah, sweet. I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
Back here from City Stadium, where at halftime it's Richmond 1, Chattanooga 1 in a pivotal clash in the playoff chase. The halftime show presented by Simplicity VoIP. Let's take a look back at Week 23, a pivotal stretch in this season. A couple standout results. We've already highlighted the 2-2 draw. Richmond salvaging a point at Tormenta to put themselves in a favorable position entering tonight. How about Northern Colorado continuing their surge after winning the Jägermeister Cup? They defeat Charlotte away from home. We've already spotlighted the Madison win over Chattanooga. And the nightcap last week, the 3-2 victory for Greenville over Spokane to move them into the top 4, which would allow them to host a quarterfinal match. It was a busy 6-match week. Now let's take a look at the standout goals from match week 23.
Vinyals. Side to Fitch. Whoa!
Figure that may change. Diouf gets inside the last defender. It's still Diouf! And Lexington in front! Is there late drama here at Warner Park? Ostrom hooking it in. Headed on, Mastrantonio!
As Macias picks the pocket, steps to his left, shoots, and he scores!
Well, the Week 23 Team of the Week loaded with tremendous talent. The only player in this match, though, to receive the nod on Tuesday, Simon Fitch, who, of course, produced a goal and an assist in the comeback against Tormenta. It is a Greenville-dominated squad. Liam McKinnon, the player of the week after his brace last week, and Rick Wright, the coach of the week. A much-needed victory for a Greenville side that was in free fall for much of September. And then you look up front, Christian Chaney and Josh Doling leading the side. Vern Shipman, the goalkeeper for the bunch. Well, throughout match week 24, there are a ton of major fixtures. You get your look at the league standings. As things currently stand, Richmond Kickers 2 points clear in the live table for the 8th and final playoff spot. The first 7 spots all clinched. That's just jockeying for postseason positioning at this point. If Omaha wins tonight, they lock up the Players' Shield for the 2nd consecutive year. You see right now 4 different teams competing for that 8th and final spot. And now let's get a look at some of the major fixtures here in match week 24, the penultimate match week. 4 other matches tonight, the ones to look at, especially if you're a Richmond fan. The Lexington-Charlotte game kicking off at 7. You're a big Charlotte fan in that one especially. And then, of course, the Tormenta-Omaha match. If you are an Omaha supporter, or a Richmond supporter, excuse me, you are also an Omaha supporter tonight, because if Tormenta drops points and you win, you clinch that 8th and final playoff spot. Throughout the remainder of the match week, a few other standout games. Greenville traveling to Fuego tomorrow night. Well, at halftime in our match, it is still all to play for between Richmond and Chattanooga at City Stadium. 1-1 on the halftime show, presented by Simplicity VoIP. When we return, a look at the highlights and standout moments from that first half.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the high five strangers got, game-winning interception, first down, just a nice solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can
Welcome to Royal New Kent Golf Club. Designed by world-renowned architect Mike Strantz, Royal New Kent's a one-of-a-kind Irish-style golf course located 20 minutes east of Richmond, Virginia. Royal New Kent was featured in Golf Week's top 100 public courses in the country. Hidden behind grassy knolls and hand-stacked rock walls, each hole offers several playing options to fit a wide range of abilities. Visit royalnewkent.com or follow us on social media for more information on tee times and rates. Remember, come to Royal New Kent Golf Club to Golf Ireland in Virginia.
Health. Suddenly that word seems more important these days, as it's consumed all aspects of our lives and made our universes feel smaller than ever. But at Bon Secours, your health has always been our top priority, and we're staying as committed as always to personalizing the right care for you. Because whether here or from home, we believe your health care should always revolve around you. Bon Secours, primary care for the universe of you. Visit bonsecours.com/primary care.
Well, back here from Richmond, it is halftime presented by Simplicity VoIP. A 1-1 scoreline between Richmond Kickers and Chattanooga Red Wolves in a match with major playoff implications. Well, let's flash back to that first half. It was an incredibly lively one with chances aplenty both ways. A match largely bossed by Richmond on the possession front, but Chattanooga procuring the breakthrough in the 17th minute. Stefan Lukic, a moment of individual brilliance, terrific technique to pick out the far right corner and put Chattanooga in front in very surprising fashion, given how the opening quarter of an hour shook out. Richmond found themselves continuing to push, having to try to find some sort of equalizer, but they were nearly caught out for a second time just 3 minutes later. Ropapa Mensah threw on goal, somehow missing at the near post. That was a major chance squandered for Chattanooga, and the remainder of the half all Richmond as they pushed on. Sierakowski, a big presence, cutting inside, just unable to pick out that far corner. And then in the 37th minute, finally the equalizer for Richmond. Garnett getting his head to it, and then Chandler O'Dwyer bashing it into the back of the net to put Richmond on a level playing field on the stroke of halftime. And that is where things sit. After 45 minutes, your look at the halftime stats. A narrow possession edge for Chattanooga, but the bulk of that possession in their own half. Richmond has had the bulk of the meaningful possession, and they're doubling up Chattanooga in shots and shots on target. They have been the aggressor tonight because they know if they win and they get help elsewhere, they clinch that 8th and final playoff spot. But Chattanooga's still hanging around. It sets the stage for a second half where Richmond should play the aggressor role, but won't necessarily reap the rewards of that, given how good Chattanooga is on the counterattack. We are just about set to get things back underway. It is 45 minutes that could define both these clubs' respective seasons here tonight. It is Richmond's golden opportunity to return to the playoffs. It is Chattanooga's chance to completely neutralize the gap. We are back underway here from City Stadium. Huge stakes at play in the second half. Sam Goldfarb welcoming you back to the River City. It is a chillier evening in Richmond than past weeks. It was 61 degrees at kickoff, forecasting the temperature to drop around the mid-50s by the time this match comes to a close. It's fall weather in the southeast. And Richmond hoping they can freeze Chattanooga out of the playoff chase for good tonight. Revenge would be a dish best served cold. It's also a dish that has been in the making for 2 years as far as Kickers fans are concerned. There is TJ Bush, a man under fire for large spells of that first half. Handled every test with aplomb, but not much he could do about the equalizer. Just terrific set-piece execution. Kirkland is dropped to the deck here. Well, if you're just rejoining us, we welcome you back in to Richmond, Virginia. The Kickers battling back from an early 1-0 deficit. Chandler O'Dwyer in the 38th minute leveling things up. It is a match where both teams feel they need a victory tonight. And unsurprisingly, Richmond has made a change to chase that. Neil Vinyals has entered the fray for Ryan Sierakowski, substitution presented by the Beatbox. Vinyals, of course, one of the top chance creators, a mainstay in the 11 for Richmond throughout this season. It's an uncharacteristic sub-app, but you'd figure he's got fresher legs than anyone else on the pitch at the moment. He's also the league's all-time leader in goals scored from outside the box. Here's O'Dwyer, the goal scorer. Cross comes in. It's a dangerous one that is also collected by Bush. And it seems that Jamil Roberts has come off worse for wear. Well, talking to Scott McKenzie about last week, he mentioned how he felt the performance against Madison was promising. Felt his side had their chances to at least hang in there and potentially steal one. Here tonight, it's shaping up very similarly. Scott McKenzie's lamented the execution in moments where the game is on a knife edge. Here tonight is your prime chance to rectify that trend, especially one that was reinforced last week in unfortunate fashion for the Red Wolves. There is Siobhan Marsh waiting on the bench. You figure as this wears on, number 11 in white will start to enter the fray as well. Lukic. This is Malongo. It was a first-time cross that lacked accuracy. And here is Vinyals. Quick turn from Kirkland. And now plenty of space to run into. Kirkland's cross comes across the face of goal. The effort snuffed out by Hernandez. A necessary block to deny O'Dwyer. This is terrific work from Josh Kirkland on his first start. He gets to the byline. It's a brilliant cross, and it reaches O'Dwyer, but it required a quick thinking from Hernandez, who got there just in time. Sets up Richmond for another corner. With in-swing this time, Bush was out of his net, and it fortuitously dropped wide to the far post. Well, there is your look at TJ Bush, someone who's played in some of the highest pressure environments. A graduate of James Madison, who was the 80th overall pick in the 2021 MLS Super Draft, but has spent the bulk of his career in USL League One. Of course, a title under his belt, battling with now Richmond kicker Pablo Jara for the starting role during that 2022 campaign. The last 2 seasons, differing fortunes. Last year struggling to get into the team with Tormenta. This year leading the league in saves as Chattanooga's undisputed #1. Malongo working on Schenfeld. It nearly came back to him kindly. And a heavy touch from Vinyals. Well, there's Pedro Hernandez, one of the more dynamic attacking fullbacks in this league. Very capable of being deployed further upfield as well. Still so young at just 25, beginning to enter his prime, and Chattanooga fans have liked his shift so far. Kirkland. One-on-one. It's Josh Kirkland. It will deflect out for a corner. Jamil Roberts there to intervene. Here's the replay presented by Greenswell Growers. Good ball forward. Kirkland tries the step overs and Roberts doesn't budge. A simple stalemate. Will be Richmond's second corner of this second half, as Roberts is still laboring after that challenge. Buckle up. These final 40 minutes and change will be anything but ordinary, especially if the first 50 minutes is any indication. It's Schenfeld to take. With in-swing. Towards the back post. Was headed on by a man in red. Not remotely enough force, though. Now Lukic trying to usher clear. Perhaps space to break for Chattanooga. This is Pedro Hernandez. And a loose back pass. Barnathan. Perfectly into the path of Vinyals. Roberts is there to put his legs in the mix. Vinyals again. Plenty of space to cross. It's a good one as well. It's one that took a heavy touch off of the Richmond player. Perhaps fortunately so for Chattanooga. Well, we've mentioned the terrific support, the unwavering support from the Red Army. Here tonight, they have packed the supporter section. There's been clear discourse throughout the Richmond fan base this week about the urgency of this fixture. And the supporters have not disappointed tonight. Out once again to cheer on their lads in red as they desperately pursue a first postseason bid in the last 2 years. Last season, so much disappointment. A side that went winless in the final 16 matches of 2023. Of course, Emiliano Terzaghi going out with injury at the tail end of the summer, and the side never recovered. This season, it's been the inverse tale. A team that struggled so much throughout the first 4 months and beginning to piece things together at the perfect time. Kirkland, Fitch in space, good ball in. Nearly reached the path of Vinyals, and the whistle sounded against O'Dwyer before it could do so. Fans, in the aftermath of both Hurricanes Helene and Milton, the USL has partnered with United Way Suncoast to help the Tampa Bay area recover from the devastation the storm left behind. To learn how you can get involved, scan the QR code or visit www.uslsoccer.com/Milton to ensure individuals and families have access to the resources they need to recover. Of course, once again, sending our thoughts out to anyone affected by both tragic storms. It's good to see the USL is supporting that cause. Beyond the 55-minute mark, still nothing between these two sides. It was Lukic's opener in the 17th, O'Dwyer's retort in the 38th. And that is where we sit here in the early stages of this second half. A Richmond squad that again can clinch the 8th and final playoff spot with a win and anything less than a Tormenta victory tonight. A Chattanooga side that if they lose tonight is eliminated for good from postseason contention. And of course, with all of the air surrounding the USL semifinal from 2 years ago, there is hunger amongst the Richmond fan base to secure the 3 points. Added motivation to do so. Schenfeld. A ball that didn't find anyone in red that time, and a rare touch from Ropapa-Mensah tonight, who, outside of his golden chance in the 20th minute, has been left on an island. You wonder when Siobhan Marsh starts to come into things, because there seems to be a need for more dynamism out there. Although the bigger need seems to be ball winning, and it seems that Chattanooga has lacked that across the board tonight. Scott McKenzie mentioned a desire to possess it more this week. Hasn't come to fruition yet. Schenfeld's cross. Kirkland at the back post. It was darted across the face of goal and cleared only as far as Fitch. Richmond continuing to pull the strings. Moran. Fitch's cross. Another corner in the offing. Credit to Chattanooga. They've not been breached out of open play yet, although set-piece defending has been a strange weakness at times. We've already seen the negative byproduct of that once tonight. Schenfeld will look to create an encore here. Within swing. Comes to the back post. It did reach a Richmond head, but unfortunately ricocheted beyond the crossbar at that. Well, here is the first change, and it is Siobhan Marsh entering the fray for Chattanooga Red Wolves. One of the more dynamic midfielders in this league. Part of the Triple M's trio that has fueled Chattanooga's attack all year long in Malongo, Marsh, and Mensah. He will get set to replace Omar Hernandez, who lacked for chances to make his imprint felt tonight. It is Marsh's return to the side at a key moment of Chattanooga's season. Someone with 6 goals to his name, but only 1 in the last 12 across all comps. Jamaican international who made a quintet of caps in the late 2010s. Coutinho breaking forward. Comes loose to Declan Waters, who has a pop. Nothing more than that. It is a souvenir for someone in a Richmond Kickers kit, presumably. Well, there is James Sneddon, 18 years of age, and has already flashed his maturity beyond his years. It was his intervention which prevented a surefire Ropapa-Mensah chance around the 28th minute. Not much he could do about the opener, but otherwise has been unflappable, and it's no surprise that in his first 3 league appearances there were clean sheets to show for it. It's an example of one of the bolder decisions Darren Sawatsky has made throughout his tenure this season, but it was a necessary one, given the struggles especially of Jara. Loose clearance, and oh my word, a chance that goes begging for Mensah again. A very rare error by Richmond at the back, and they nearly pay. Sneddon's first foot wrong tonight. A very loose clearance comes right into Mensah's path, and somehow unable to pick out the top left. Imagine he's ruining that missed opportunity. First corner of this half for Chattanooga, though. It is Lukic to take with outswing. It falls for Roberts. bashing that one well over the nearby stand. Well, change being made. It's James Vaughn replacing Zaka Moran. Richmond's second change of the night, and it's a like-for-like one. Zaka Moran, a strong shift that lasted just over an hour. He is replaced. The substitution presented by the Beatbox. It is the Englishman, James Vaughn, at 29 years of age, who spent so much of his career in English non-league football before moving to Richmond this season. Has largely been a key starter for the Kickers, although is more of a deep-lying center mid. Well, if you're just joining us, we are just beyond the hour mark here from City Stadium. Sam Goldfarb here bringing you every step of the way. A 1-1 scoreline. Chattanooga striking first in the 17th. Chandler O'Dwyer responding for Richmond in the 38th. And it is still all up for grabs in a match where both teams effectively need a victory in their quests for a postseason berth. Both excluded from the playoffs in 2023. Both with a chance to rectify that wrong in the final two matches of this campaign. Richmond the far likelier in terms of positioning in the table to do so. Although a draw tonight won't cut it if Tormenta can pull off the surprise against Omaha. Sneddon is forced into action. Some slight awkwardness now for Richmond at the back. We'll see how the youngster manages these moments. Was fortunate to escape without a Ropapa Mensah breakthrough moments ago. Here's Vaughn's first touch. Coutinho. Very quiet shift so far for him tonight. And Marsh's first touch leaves the fans wanting. Fitch. Plenty of room to roam and has red shirts ahead. Just beyond the reach of O'Dwyer. Fans, watch the USL Championship in Spanish on 2DN, the nation's leading Spanish-language sports network. Select matches, including the USL Championship final, will be available in Spanish throughout the rest of the season. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. What a fixture this is to kick off the penultimate match week of the USL League One season. A pair of playoff hopefuls duking it out in a playoff atmosphere tonight in Richmond. Darren Sawatsky has been directing the troops all night. No doubt that touchline is filled with tension at the moment. There was clear intent when talking to him this week. They would push on and try to win tonight, especially against a Chattanooga side that's had their number of late. Malongo. Decent ball in. It falls for Siobhan Marsh. See how he can influence things in a substitute stint that will last about a half hour. Vinyals. Dancing through traffic. Pinging it ahead to Kirkland. Has Fitch running with him. Roberts reading it well on the underlap. Vinyals, plenty of space! Right at Bush though, who read it to perfection. There's a reason he leads the league in saves. It will take more to beat him from that range. But this is terrific interplay. Vinyals just popping up in the half space. Tries to bash it across his body, but I think can't properly pick out the far corner. And in the end, a routine stop for Bush. As things stand, the Lexington-Charlotte match has kicked off. It's 0-0 after 22 minutes. Richmond fans and Chattanooga no doubt rooting for Charlotte. Here's Lukic. Pounces on it. Mensah, a rare wide touch. Mensah tries. It was deflected off of Clyde Chella, who will leave nothing up to chance. The Canadian attuned to it. And right in front of the Red Army, Lukic to take this corner. Someone who's known for riling up opposing fans on occasion. Well, that is a photo that will live in Richmond lore. Surrounded by the fans. In swinger. Coutinho went down. And Richmond readying one more change. Their third of the night. It will be Kirkland's calling card. Be replaced by Tony Panetta, who returns to the action, someone who's battled injury all year, but a very promising first professional start for the USL League Two product Kirkland. He's replaced by the High Point graduate Tony Panetta, who is one of the top wingers in college soccer during his 6-year career between High Point and West Virginia. Darren Sawatsky has raved about him since the preseason. Panetta's been expected to be a starter, but has battled lower leg issues throughout the campaign. It's cost him multiple months on end. Returns to the side for the final 23 minutes and change here. Has started to work his way back into the fold these last few matches. It's been a combined 3 months missed due to injury. Suffered that injury in the first round of the US Open Cup as a second half substitute, and has struggled to get back to match fitness since, but these are the substitute cameos where he could try to make a legitimate impact. Maybe not ready for a full 90 just yet. Plenty of dynamism in those boots. Well, Scott McKenzie has to have mixed opinions on the action so far. He's mentioned there's no doubt it has not been a positive campaign for us. He's lamented the issues with injury, but he said this is the closest to a full-strength squad he's had. They've hung in there. It is still a fixture up for grabs despite being on the back foot for large spells tonight. Fitch cutting it in. It is charged out of trouble only as far as the 17-year-old Griffin Garnett. Scott McKenzie, of course, someone with coaching in his family as well. His father coaching in English non-league. Scott himself beginning his career in the United Kingdom, and then moving over to the States a few years back. He's very blunt in his assessments about his side, but he also is very straightforward with his players, and he has a desired style he wants to implement, an attack-minded, exciting brand of football, but it has left them vulnerable at the back. And to his credit, he has adapted it the last month or so in an attempt to grind out more results. The side has been in plenty of matches they've lost or drawn in these last couple months. They just haven't quite been able to get over the line. And of course, last weekend, the prime example of that in the defeat at Madison. Still time to make an impact here. O'Dwyer. And he is fouled in the end by Milanko. Well, this is prime position for Neil Vignals, one of the better set piece takers in USL League One. It's a little far for him to try direct for goal. We've seen sensational free kicks on a number of occasions from him. He'll no doubt be looking to pick out a Richmond head. He's known for his precision in these scenarios. Floating it into the box. He's charged away, barely beyond the first line of defense. Now Vignals again. Switching the play. Terrific ball! Cella! What a finish! A sensational goal for Richmond, and it's 2-1 to the Kickers. There's the expertise from Vignals, and Cella's first goal in a Richmond kit. What a moment! A goal the Red Army can rejoice with. A sensational ball. Perfect. Right into the path of Cella. The flag stayed down and just wrestling it above the oncoming TJ Bush. A delivery that will live in Neil Vignals' career highlights for quite some time. And Clyde Cella, the Canadian, in just his 5th appearance with Richmond, breaking through for the Kickers. Richmond 2, Chattanooga 1. A man that Darren Sawatsky signed with the intention of bolstering his back line, said they had a need for athleticism and physicality, and someone who spent the first half of this year in the Kosovan top flight. A rare sojourn forward, rewarded with arguably Richmond's biggest goal of the campaign. Vignals, Richmond still pushing for more. It will deflect out of play. And they say goal kick. Well, now Chattanooga forced to come out of their shell. A loss tonight eliminates them from playoff contention. Malongo wrestled off it by Schenfeld, who has hardly put a foot wrong tonight. Remember, there was clear conversations amongst Richmond fans this week about revenge. A Chattanooga side that ended Richmond's best USL League One season in history back in 2022. That man, Darren Sawatsky, led his side into the USL League One playoffs as the Players' Shield winners. Pineda latching onto this. Still numbers forward. Lays it off. Fitch to the byline. Terzaghi unable to steer it on target. But back 2 years ago, it was Chattanooga, a side that just barely nicked their way into the postseason, coming in and stealing it late. Richmond, as things stand, has returned the favor 2 years later and eliminated Chattanooga. Still have 15 minutes to see this out, and there is a change in the offing now for the Red Wolves. It's Toby John Hope who enters the fray. He replaces Leo Fala in the heart of defense. Perhaps a suggestion that John Hope might be better suited for set pieces. Corner here for Richmond. With in-swing. Headed over the bar without trouble for Mensah. A man who will rue a pair of chances that went begging for himself tonight. It will be Schenfeld with in-swing again. Into the final quarter of an hour. Clyde-Cella's breakthrough makes the difference. It's delivered towards the back stick, and we will flop flanks now. You can't argue it's undeserved. Richmond has been on the front foot all night and taking their chances to a degree we have not seen in months past. It is now Vinyals right in front of the home support. In-swinger again. Punched away by Bush. Pineda got a touch to it, and now numbers on the break for Chattanooga perhaps. Well weighted towards Lukic, cleaned up confidently by Vinyals, whose assist is one for the record books in Richmond's League One lore. Pinpoint accuracy on that delivery. And here he is again, Barnathan, ushering it along, Pineda in space, it's Tony Pineda! Terrific stop at the near post by Bush, who is single-handedly keeping Chattanooga in this. For a moment, it seemed Pineda may have had his first professional goal, but he tried for the near post, and Bush was all over it. 2 palms for safety. It will be Schenfeld once again. It's been all in-swingers tonight from Richmond with the exception of the occasional short corner. A team that has racked up the corner count this evening. Here's another in-swinger. Came towards Terzaghi. Garnett nearly got a touch to it. Instead, it's escorted out of play for another Richmond corner. It is now the 15th corner kick of the night for Richmond kickers. They've scored off 1 of them this evening. Vinyals again. Toward the heart of the area. Palmed away by TJ Bush, only as far as Pineda. O'Dwyer. As things stand, it's his equalizer with which kick-started the comeback. And now Terzaghi make it corner number 16 of the evening for Richmond. It is a 16-2 corner advantage for the kickers tonight. Vinyals slowly getting target practice here, which is the last thing you want to see from a man of his caliber. Near post this time. Came towards Terzaghi, and it fell for Coutinho. Malongo trying to charge ahead. Cleaned up confidently by Vaughn. Terzaghi. Pineda has numbers in support. Laying it off for Vaughn. His cross snuffed out. Now Fitch. Rapidly approaching the final 10 minutes here from City Stadium. Richmond continuing to push on since grabbing what would be the go-ahead goal. Barnathan into the area now, low cross. One that did not reach a fellow kicker at the backside. And now Fitch in space again. Barnathan. Darting it back. It's not a bad delivery. Vinyals just tucking it wide. Well, this is some of the best football we've seen from Richmond all year. It's unrelenting pressure. But does Chattanooga have a counter in them? Lukic playing it forward towards Marsh. Sneddon is all over it. Decisive and confident once again. What a story the 18-year-old has been this year. And aside from the one errant clearance, which Marsh let him off the hook for, it's been a near flawless display from him. Vinyals tries it himself. Bush is unable to prevent it for going out for a corner. Make it the 17th corner of the night for Richmond kickers. Side that has managed more corners than shots tonight. They've still managed 15 shots. It is a party at City Stadium at the moment. Vinyals looking to procure the final gift to the home support. Vinyals within swing, near post this time, came for Garnett, still loose for Panetta. It's an errant ball backwards that's fielded by Pedro Hernandez. Malongo trying to take on the Richmond defense himself, just had no white shirts to support him. It's been the unfortunate story of the night for Chattanooga when they counter. No doubt, Scott McKenzie is imploring his side to try to control things more. They need to chase this to have any hope at keeping their playoff shot alive. With this current scoreline, they're all eradicated in terms of their chances at making the postseason. Malongo, Coutinho in space, trying to dink it through to Lukic. Was read well by the Richmond back line. And now Vinyals. Magisterial brilliance tonight from him. And continuing to charge ahead. It is Neil Vinyals! Bush manages to secure it. Vinyals again. Finally, Walefi able to calm things down. If you're just joining us, you have missed the textbook definition of a barn burner tonight from Richmond. A match in which Chattanooga jumped in front with their only major chance of the match to that point. Stefan Lukic in the 17th. Had a chance to double it. That went begging for Ropapa-Mensah. Chandler O'Dwyer responding just before halftime. And then in the 72nd minute, after a picture-perfect ball from Neil Vinyals, Clyde Chella opening his account for Richmond and putting the kickers in front in a must-win scenario. Roberts. It comes to Stefan Lukic. Nearly fell kindly for Walefi. And O'Dwyer will pick it up. Terzaghi was cautioned for the last interchange moments ago. Schenfeld. And now a coming together between himself and Mensah, and maybe a late parting gift from Chattanooga's star forward as well. It's not one that Richmond has taken kindly to. And it's still popping off. Here's another look. It was Walefi who created the initial contact, and then Mensah comes in. It was actually Toby John Hope who comes in from behind. And then it all popped off from there. It was the substitute, John Hope. And well, it hasn't exactly calmed down since. Well, Schenfeld is pleading his case. There's been no cards brandished, at least to this point. Toby John Hope would be fortunate to get off without one. Remember, he's been sent off already once this season since signing for the club. And now the referee just looking to settle things down. There is a yellow shown, both to Schenfeld and Coutinho. The fans taking issue with the yellow to Schenfeld, who seemed to be reacting in a retaliatory manner. And finally, all settled. John Hope has somehow escaped without any sort of booking. Well, we touted this as a match with playoff implications. It has had the feel of a playoff match tonight. A chilly night in Richmond. Right now the Kickers have themselves in a prime position to navigate to the precipice of the postseason. Waters, a rare sojourn forward for Chattanooga here in the second half. This is Siobhan Marsh. Floated ball in, it's a dangerous one. Nearly spilled by Sneddon, who pounced on it comfortably after. Circuitous, but did the job. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM-FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Plus your live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM-FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. Closing stages of this crucial clash. Chattanooga desperately searching for a lifeline. They need a draw to at least stay alive for the time being. A defeat and their season comes to a close one match early pretty much. Roberts' delivery, collected by Sneddon and fouled by Marsh. Within the final 2 minutes of the initial 90, no doubt we will have plenty of added time on the clock. A match with a little bit of everything. Tension, moments of individual brilliance, set piece tallies, and everything in between. It still threatens to bubble over a bit. Chattanooga's season hangs in the balance. Lukic. Tormenta has scored against Omaha. Just 6 minutes in. So as things stand, Richmond would be in line to only maintain their 1 point gap atop the table. Coutinho laying it off for Lukic. Charged away by Barnathan. Only as far as Walefi. This is Marsh. He has a big goal in him. An uncanny knack for them at that. Pedro Hernandez would have been hoping for better than that. Change is coming. Richmond looking to lock up shop. It will be Arthur Bajua replacing Emiliano Terzaghi in a like-for-like swap up front. Terzaghi with moments of danger. Had a couple of chances go begging. Overall, a strong shift from him as he's replaced by Bajua, the new signing this offseason from Tormenta. Substitutions presented by the Beatbox. This comes on 90 minutes, and Terzaghi walks off to widespread applause. We're now beyond the 90-minute threshold. It is in the fourth official's hands. "5 minutes of added time here tonight, presented by Greenswell Growers. Pedro Hernandez, he's brought down. Fans, eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now. Set piece in the offing for Chattanooga, and they are pushing TJ Bush up. Reckless abandon as Chattanooga pursues a lifeline in its season. And it was a poor delivery in the end. Bush will rectify it. Hernandez. Lukic. Bush running back to his own goal now. Lukic's cross came to Mensa's head, but right at Sneddon. Decent build-up here from Chattanooga, but lacked the final product. Mensa has to head this across his body and wound up being a tame effort right at the 18-year-old, who once again in the right place at a key moment. Bajua may have just dealt his boot to John Ope's face. That's exactly what transpired. And they're still trying to settle everything down on the other end of the pitch. Time continues to leak off the clock for Chattanooga. It's an unwanted stop if you're a Red Wolves fan. Seems incidental, although John Hope came off worse for wear. Just 2.5 minutes remain of the added 5. It has the sense we'll go well beyond that now. Has Richmond put themselves on the precipice of the postseason? Or will Chattanooga deal a late blow to their playoff hopes tonight? As things stand, they would be in line to clinch if Omaha can at least salvage a result from their match with Tormenta, which currently stands 1-0 to Tormenta 6 minutes in. But it would put Richmond in a very favorable position ahead of the final match day. Bush is now well outside his goal, distributing it forward. We are now in the final 90 seconds of the added 5. Desperate late efforts from Chattanooga. Here's Bush, floating it ahead. It's cleared only as far as Marsh, and now Bush forced to race back toward his goal. Walefi, Coutinho, Lukic, Bush charging ahead. And now pressing up on Bajua. There is nobody in net for Chattanooga at the moment. It's Panetta streaking forward. And he's brought down by Walefi. Marsh breaking the other way. It is organized chaos here late at City Stadium. Fitch. A welcome free kick for the Richmond faithful. Final 30 seconds of the initial 5. We're likely going to 96 or 97 though, given the earlier stoppage for John Hope's injury. Floated ahead. Richmond could try to seal it. They do have numbers forward for it. We're beyond the added 5. It's now at the referee's discretion. Richmond will be in no rush to take this free kick. Kickers have themselves in the catbird seat. A game in which they've dominated and rightfully lead as a result. Navigating now to the corner, it becomes a game of keep away for Richmond. Now the question becomes how much time Chattanooga has to break forward. Floated towards Mensah. Roberts. There is still time for Chattanooga, it seems. Looking towards Mensah. Sneddon is off his line, and you wonder if that is the last gasp from the Red Wolves. There is the full-time whistle. Richmond has done it. For the first time in league play this season, overcoming an early deficit to snatch all 3 points. And now they have themselves in prime position for a return to the playoffs. Darren Sawatsky's side navigating through adversity. They at least maintain their inside track on the top 8 and will keenly await the results of the Tormenta Omaha match in a matter of hours. The Kickers have done it. It is that man who's provided the equalizer, Chandler O'Dwyer. Clyde Chella providing the winner in the 72nd. And after falling behind early, Richmond finding a way to exercise demons in the form of Chattanooga. Let's take a look at tonight's play of the match presented by Courtyard Marriott. What else but Clyde Chella's winner? It was an unbelievable delivery from Neil Vinyals. You see it here. Pinpoint accuracy, perfectly timed. Chella threw on goal, and he does enough to usher it beyond the outstretched gloves of TJ Bush. That was the winning moment for Richmond as they overcome an early deficit for the first time in league play this year. Clyde Chella, the unlikely hero in just his 4th league start, and as a result, unsurprisingly, our man of the match, but presented by Cater, who made the difference tonight for Richmond. His winner, putting Richmond in prime position to clinch a return to the playoffs if results go their way later tonight. We will step aside when we return a look at the thrilling 90 minutes we just witnessed.
We would not have a business today if it weren't for the support of many, many people within the Richmond community. To me, we're working as a team to enhance the quality of life for all residents.
It's about being the best that you can be. It's about enriching the lives of people in your community. There's a reason why we have the tagline Nourish, because it's really about nourishing the lives of the people that work for us and the people that we serve. That's what the UCrops brand stands for.
Health. Suddenly that word seems more important these days, as it's consumed all aspects of our lives and made our universes feel smaller than ever. But at Bon Secours, your health has always been our top priority, and we're staying as committed as always to personalizing the right care for you. Because whether here or from home, we believe your health care should always revolve around you. Bon Secours, primary care for the universe of you. Visit bonsecours.com/primary care to connect with the provider today.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception. First down. Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more.
Back here from City Stadium, where Richmond has secured a come-from-behind 2-1 victory in a crucial 6-pointer against Chattanooga. That man, Clyde Chella's 72nd minute tally, making the difference in Richmond's crucial home win tonight. Let's take a look at the full-time highlights presented by Bon Secours. We pick it up early in the 17th minute, where it looked like it would be a long night for Richmond. Stefan Lukic's terrific strike from afar, curling it into the far right corner. Sensational technique to put Chattanooga in front 1-0, despite really creating very little throughout the majority of the opening quarter of an hour. And moments later, nearly doubled the advantage. But then Richmond, firing back in the 37th, this terrific set piece, ushered along by Garnett, tapped across the line by Chandler O'Dwyer, and Richmond on a level playing field, deservedly so, given the way they dominated the first half before halftime. Then in the 41st minute, continuing to push forward are both teams. Chattanooga with a chance. Mensah threw on goal. How about this from James Sneddon? At 18 years of age, sensational instincts to intervene and make the stop. And then in the 71st, the breakthrough for Richmond after dominating the entire second half. How about this delivery from the substitute Neil Vinyals? Perfect. Right into the path of Clyde Echella, who ushered it beyond the outstretched gloves of TJ Bush. And that was the difference-making moment, which has given Richmond an inside track on a return to the postseason for the first time in 2 years. There were chances going forward for Richmond following the breakthrough. This was the best of them. Tony Panetta going at the near post. TJ Bush doing his best to keep Chattanooga in it, to his credit, but didn't get enough support going forward. Here's your look at how the table looks at the end of the night. Richmond now still a point clear of Tormenta, but remember, this is the live table because Tormenta currently leads Omaha 1-0. If they are to draw or lose tonight, Richmond shores up the 8th and final playoff spot with a match to play. But either way, regardless of how these matches break tonight, all Richmond needs to do is win next week, and it is in to the postseason. They control their own destiny. That's what Darren Sawatsky desired entering the night. That's what they have achieved in a major victory. Meanwhile, Chattanooga, of course, out, officially eliminated off the pace. That's where things finish tonight from Richmond, where it finishes Richmond 2, Chattanooga 1. Clyde Echella's late heroics making the difference in a tense affair at City Stadium. For Sam Goldfarb, we say so long from Richmond, Virginia. The Kickers pull off a huge come-from-behind victory. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.